Here are 15 of the best Ask Reddit stories for today. I hope you enjoy and remember to subscribe. It really helps us out. We post new videos every day.
A guy walks into a bar and takes a seat, noticing that he's the only customer. The only person around is a bartender, who is on his phone and who waves to indicate he'll be with him as soon as he can. The guy nods and waits patiently, but suddenly he hears a small voice say, "Nice shirt." He looks around, but can't see anyone other than the bartender, who is still on the phone. He shrugs, thinking he's just imagining things, when he hears a similar voice say, "Smart haircut, handsome." Again he looks around nervously, but there's nobody near who could possibly have spoken to him. Then he hears yet another voice, soft and small like the first two, "You're really looking sharp today, have you lost weight?" At this point the guy is completely bewildered, until he realizes that the voices seem to be coming from a bowl of nuts sitting on the bar counter. At that moment the bartender has finished his phone call, and comes over to see what the guy wants to order. "What's the deal with these nuts?" the guy asks. The bartender shrugs, saying, "They're complimentary." Oh no, not Elon. Man is driving along the freeway when he is stopped by a huge traffic jam. After sitting there for quite a long time, he sees another man walking from car to car. The second man finally gets up to his car. He rolls down the window. "Hey man, what's going on up ahead? It's awful. Terrorists have stopped Elon Musk's limo. They are saying if they don't get $10 million, they are going to burn him alive. So, I'm out here collecting donations." "That's terrible. How much have you collected so far?" 10 gallons. But everyone else is still siphoning. A man takes a stool at the bar and orders a drink. Then he asks the man to the right of him, "How tall is a penguin?" "This tall." "No, they're much shorter than that," he answers. He looks to the man at his left. "How tall is a penguin?" "This tall." "Nowhere near that tall," says the other man. The man puts his head in his hands. The bartender, witnessing all of this, asks the man, "Everything okay, sir?" The man responds, "No, I just ran over a nun." A crazy car crash. It was Saturday night. I was just in college coming back from a party. I admit I had taken 2 or 3 shots this night. It's bad, I know, but I didn't think it would affect me. All my friends got super drunk to the point none of them were able to drive. We lived near each other, so I didn't need to drop them off individually, except for another friend. It was a long way from the party, about a 30 to 40 minute drive. It was super late and dark when we headed out from the party. I wasn't worried since the way back was just a long road and hardly any cars on it until we came into town. I don't remember how it happened, but I remember waking up seeing lights all over. To go into more detail, I'll talk about why I didn't expect anything to happen. There's this empty road me and my friends had to take to a party, typical college party. Surrounded by nothing but trees. You can smell the fresh air and leaves falling like raindrops. Me and my friend would joke around with 2 of my girlfriends coming along, telling them we saw trees moving and making up stories about this road. This was on our way back since the 3 of them were drunk. Not long after a joke I made it happen, we weren't far off from our homes. A car came out the woods coming straight into our car. I remember just braking as hard as I can. Everything slowed down. Trees were silent. The car was a feather and everything was so slow. I caught the look of my friend. He was scared. I don't remember much after that. We were all knocked out. I woke up to sirens and ambulances around our crash and the 3 of my friends getting their wounds treated. One of my friends was in critical condition. I was telling myself I was stupid and I shouldn't have driven knowing I had a few drinks. My friend got rushed to the hospital where she sadly passed away. I still live with guilt inside me knowing she died because I decided to have a few shots. I would have seen the car coming out if I wasn't drunk. I would have hit the brakes on time. Adults are children with money. Shower thoughts. Because people only cook meat to carbon by accident. A steak burnt solid is the rarest steak of all. As an adult we replace 8 hours of fun with 8 hours of work. Toothpaste is an enigma. A new tube runs out fast. A nearly empty tube lasts forever. Walking around with your belt unbuckled is considered weird, but if you remove it completely it makes it fine again. A keen hunter takes his wife deer hunting for the first time in her life. He first explains the basics to his wife, and then says, "One thing is super important. Whenever you shoot something, you must claim it right away. Or else if someone else gets to the kill, they might claim it. So if you want deer meat in the fridge, make sure you're quick to claim it." They went to their deer boxes to see if some deer would show up. In a matter of minutes, the hunter hears his wife's gun. He wants to make sure she claims her kill like he's told her, so off he goes to investigate. He finds his wife arguing loudly with another man. By the time he gets there, the man is looking panicked and has put both hands in the air, saying, "Sure lady, fine, whatever, if you insist, this is your deer. But can I please take my saddle off your deer before you take it away?" The old professor started each lecture with a dirty joke. After a real objectionable example of that one day, the female students got together and decided that next time, when this happens again, they will all walk out in unison. The professor got wind of this plot. Next morning, after he entered the lecture hall, he said, "Good morning. Have you heard about the shortage of prostitutes in Alaska?" Now all the female students stood up and headed toward the exit. The professor continued, "Oh, ladies, please wait. The plane to Alaska doesn't leave until tomorrow." "We know, but it takes all of us and a whole day to carry your mom," replied one of the students. A man finds a genie lamp, rubs it and poof, a genie appears. "Genie, I have the power to grant you 3 wishes, but keep in mind, whatever you wish, your mother-in-law will receive 2-fold. Man, okay, my first wish is for $1 billion. Genie, your wish is granted, but keep in mind that your mother-in-law will receive $2 billion. Man, that's fine. My second wish is for a 20,000 square feet mansion in the Hamptons. Genie, your wish is granted, but keep in mind that your mother-in-law will receive a 40,000 square feet mansion in the Hamptons. Man, that's fine. Genie, okay, what is your third wish? Man, I want you to beat me half to death. A mathematician and an engineer play a game to get laid. At the other end of this room, the game master points out, is a beautiful, young, naked, consenting woman. If you reach her, she will fulfill any and all of your fantasies. The mathematician and engineer both look at each other with excitement. The only rule is that each step you take toward the bed can only be half the size of the last step. The mathematician studies the situation for a moment, frowns, and then remarks, oh, forget it. I know how this one ends. I'm going home. The engineer also studies the situation, grins, and then begins walking toward the woman. Didn't you hear me? Shouts the mathematician. It's a mathematical certainty you'll never reach her. Perhaps you're right, he says. But soon I'll be close enough that for all practical purposes, it won't matter. An ex-husband and ex-wife are in court fighting in a bitter custody battle over their child. The judge asks the woman, why do you feel you deserve custody? The woman says, I brought that child into this world. My child literally came out of me. That is why I deserve custody. The judge nods his head and says that is a simple and logical reason. It makes sense. Then the judge turns his head to the man and asks, she said her side of things. Why do you feel you deserve custody? The man sits in his chair and slowly drinks from a can of Coke. Then he holds up the empty can in his hand and says, was this my Coke or my ex-wife's Coke? Confused, the judge says, I believe that was your Coke. The wife is also confused and the judge looks over at her and asks, was that your Coke? The ex-wife says, no, it was his Coke. The man looks at the judge and says, good, we all agree. So when I put money in a Coke machine and a Coke pops out, the Coke is mine, not the Coke machine's, correct? A burglar breaks into a house. He begins to search the home for valuables when hears a quiet voice say, long, Jesus is watching you. He dismisses it as paranoia and carries on with his crime. He hears the voice again, Jesus is watching you. He knows this time it's not in his head, so he looks around the room and sees a parrot in the corner. He walks over to the parrot and it repeats one more time, Jesus is watching you. The burglar says to the parrot, is your name Jesus? No, it's Moses, the parrot replied. The burglar laughs and says, who names a parrot Moses? And the parrot says, the same person who named the Rottweiler Jesus. Shower thoughts. When you're a kid, you don't realize you're also watching your mom and dad grow up. If elevators hadn't been invented, all the CEOs and important people would have their offices on the first floor as a sign of status. And the entry-level employees would be up on the 80th floor. During a nuclear explosion, there is a certain distance of the radius where all the frozen supermarket pizzas are cooked to perfection. We do not check the refrigerator multiple times to find new food. We check to see if our standards have dropped enough to eat what was available. An atheist dies and goes to hell. Long, the devil welcomes him and says, let me show you around a little bit. They walk through a nice park with green trees and the devil shows him a huge palace. This is your house now. Here are your keys. The man is happy and thanks the devil. The devil says, no need to say thank you. Everyone gets a nice place to live in when they come down here. They continue walking through the nice park, flowers everywhere, and the devil shows the atheist a garage full of beautiful cars. These are your cars now, and hands the man all the car keys. Again, the atheist tries to thank the devil, but he only says everyone down here gets some cool cars. How would you drive around without having cars? They walk on and the area gets even nicer. There are birds chirping, squirrels running around, kittens everywhere. They arrive at a fountain, where the most beautiful woman the atheist has ever seen sits on a bench. She looks at him and they instantly fall in love with each other. The man couldn't be any happier. The devil says everyone gets to have their soulmate down here. We don't want anyone to be lonely. As they walk on, the atheist notices a high fence. He peeks to the other side and is totally shocked. There are people in pools of lava, screaming in pain, while little devils run around and stab them with their tridents. Other devils are skinning people alive, heads are spiked, and many more terrible things are happening. A stench of sulfur is in the air. Terrified, the man stumbles backwards and asks the devil, what is going on there? The devil just shrugs and says, those are the Christians. I don't know why, but they prefer it that way. A little girl gets a bike for Christmas one year. All excited, she immediately takes the bike out to ride it. A cop passing by says to the little girl, did Santa get you that? Yes, replies the little girl. Well, tell him to put a reflector light on it next year, and fines her $5. The little girl looks up at the cop and says, nice horse you got there. Did Santa bring you that? The cop chuckles and replies, he sure did. Well, says the little girl, next year tell Santa that the dick goes under the horse, not on top of it. A blonde girl called Jenny came skipping home after school. Mommy, today in school, everyone else only counted to 5, but I counted to 10. The mom replies, that's great, honey. Jenny then asks, is it because I'm blonde? Yes, sweetie, says the mom. The next day, Jenny comes home skipping and calling out, mommy. Today after gym class, everyone was taking a shower and had flat chests. While I had these. Jenny lifts her tank top to reveal a pair of 36Cs. Is it because I'm blonde? Embarrassed, the mom replies, no honey, it's because you're 24. A newly married couple wakes up on their first Christmas morning together. The wife kisses her husband on the cheek and says, Merry Christmas, hun. Don't get up, I have a surprise for you. As your first Christmas present, I'm going to make you your favorite breakfast in bed. Eggs Benedict. Wow, great, says the husband, propping himself up in bed as his wife scampers away to the kitchen. A little time and lots of clanging and cooking later, the wife returns with a beautiful plate of Eggs Benedict, fresh and steaming hot on a plate. The husband smiles from ear to ear as he takes the plate from his wife, but gets a slightly quizzical look on his face when he notices that the plate is one he's never seen before. Instead of their usual dinnerware, this plate is a shiny, silvery metallic one. This is wonderful, darling, the husband says, but what's with the fancy plate? Did you get it special for today? Of course I did, beams the wife, it's Christmas. There's no plate like chrome for the hollandaise.